Hello, I'm back. It's Jay Pittner, and I'm here today at the beginning of May with another cocktail recipe. And I got to thinking about what would have been happening this Saturday, this first Saturday in May. And it would have been the Kentucky Derby. I mean, how could anybody in Maryland not think of horse racing, not be excited about the Kentucky Derby? And so the traditional beverage of the Kentucky Derby is, of course, the Mint Julep. And it's very classic. And there's one classic recipe that involves sugar cubes and muddling mint and then bourbon, etc. We're going to do a little variation off that where, because I like to do my work kind of ahead of time and be able to get out my cocktails quickly, whether it's at home or for a party. And so my variation uses mint simple syrup, which kind of skips past the sugar and the muddling of the mint part. But it still gives it true essence flavor, and it's a totally acceptable mint julep recipe. So what we're going to do today is we're going to actually concentrate a little bit on one key component of the mint julep, which is crushed ice. So what they tell you to do in the traditional is you get a Lewis bag, which is a canvas bag, to crush your ice in, and you hand crush your ice with a mallet in the Lewis bag. Now, if you don't have a Lewis bag home, don't worry, I don't have a Lewis bag at home. I've been doing this for a while without it. I promised myself if we threw a Kentucky Derby party this year, I would buy a Lewis bag, but that party's been delayed. But it will happen, and I will get a Lewis bag. And you can order online if you really like it and you're really serious. But what I do is I do a double Ziploc bag method. And why do I do that? Because when you hit the ice inside of the plastic bag, it has a tendency to split open, and you don't want your ice to go anywhere. You want your ice to be contained while you're doing this process. And the reason you hand crush the ice versus others is because you get a different shape to the ice when you do it in this method. So once you have your bag ready to go, you take your mallet, and you can see this great, and you just bang. It's a good way to get out some aggression, you know. I don't know if anybody has anything they're frustrated about this time of year with everything that's going on, but if you do, it's a great thing to do. Get out a little bit of aggression. Anyway, so once you've done that, what you're aiming for, people are like, well, how long do I bang for? Well, you can bang for as long as you like. But what you're really aiming for is to get a crushed ice consistency that looks kind of like slush, like this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your glass. Now, this is the traditional mint julep glass, and if you don't have one, you don't need one. But you fill it with the crushed ice, and just to show you, I'm going to make it in a normal glass, and you want to fill it. That's what you're going to do. You're going to fill a low ball, a double old-fashioned style glass, or your traditional mint julep glass with that ice. Now, some people who attended one of our bourbon tastings a few years ago, you would have gotten one of these, and maybe you still have it on your shelf. Good for you. This is the perfect thing to use. So, how do you make the cocktail? Well, again, always measure. And this one is pretty simple. It's once you have mint simple syrup, it's mint simple syrup and bourbon. And you measure, and I always do my syrup in here first, and it's a ½ ounce of mint simple syrup. And then I always put my spirit in after I use a syrup. And why do I do that? Because syrup tends to cling to the inside of the glass. You can see there's still some kind of in there. And by using the spirit second, I help pull that off the side. So I use 2½ ounces of bourbon. Some recipes call for 2. Everybody knows I like bourbon in my drinks, so 2½ ounces to 1/2 ounce. I'm going to put that into my shaker, and I'm going to add ice. Now, it's already going to go over crushed ice, so in this case, unlike some other cocktails which I've made before, you don't want to agitate it through shaking. You just want to gently stir it to chill it and kind of mix that mint simple syrup in with the bourbon. So if you have, a spoon or your muddler, you just take that, give it about 4 or 5, just fine. Then you're going to strain it right in your glass, nice and full. Now, how do you drink that? You're going to garnish it with a little fresh mint leaf. You can sip it, but traditionally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to drink it with a straw. So you get that straw in there. Beautiful, simple. It's definitely a bourbon lover's drink, but that extra sweetness and that mint herbalness just makes it extremely refreshing. I certainly recommend doing this. If you want to know how to make mint simple syrup, I suggest you watch the companion video that's in this email that shows me making mint simple syrup. And also, if you're interested, apparently they're doing a virtual Kentucky Derby this year. They're going to show a past race, but they're also going to actually show a virtual race with what horses may have been. So if that interests you at all, if you're just looking for an excuse to do something while you enjoy mint julep, maybe you want to check that out. But there's no harm in simply making mint juleps to enjoy whenever. Again, I mentioned making things up ahead of time. The great thing about if you make that mint simple syrup, you saw how quick and easy the cocktail portion of this was. It was like bing bang boom. And so I really highly recommend enjoying a little beverage. Cheers.